Hello, so excited to be here today for the Behind the Throne podcast. I am your co-host, Helen Hope Kimbrough, here with my girl.
Hey, y'all. Charlotte
from Charlotte.
Yes, glad to be back.
Yes. So excited to see you. Miss you, friend.
Miss you too.
I know. And so today we are also delighted to have Keetha B with us, joining us as well. And so Keetha, would love for you to introduce yourself, and then we'll share why we are collaborating together today.
Sure. Good afternoon. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am Keetha B. I am an actor, playwright, and author here in the Charlotte area. And I am the playwright of the show Bessie Coleman, Fearless and Free.
Yes. All this black girl magic.
I know, but this is the other thing that I love, that you are a local talent, because, Charlotte is known somewhat for its arts culture. And the fact that you are here represents that. So I'm glad to interview you today and have you to be a part of the Behind the Throne podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. And I'm also excited about our collaboration as well.
Yes.
Because we're representing the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library in collaboration with Imaginon Children's Theater of Charlotte.
Yes, which we both are board members of. I'm a board member of the Children's Theater of Charlotte, which I've been happy to serve.
And I'm the board member of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library Foundation. So I'm also
Excellent.
happy to serve.
Yes.
So I was like, it's almost serendipitous that we are here today talking about this in collaboration.
And we get to talk to you.
I know.
Y'all so sweet.
Like, can we get your autograph, girl?
Yes. Yes. Happy to do it.
Yes.
Mothers are the queens of the castle, but let's be real, it's not all ball gowns and glass slippers.
On this podcast, we're giving you a peek behind the throne at the privilege and responsibility of wearing the crown. My name is Helen Hope Kimbrough, and I'm a proud wife and mom of 2 adult sons.
And I'm Charlotte Hatch, a proud wife, married to my high school sweetheart, and a proud mom to 2 little ones. Get ready as we share jewels with each other
and you around all things connected to motherhood. So I did want to at least start the podcast off just to share just a little bit more about why you thought it was important to bring Bessie Coleman's story to life through the children's stage play and production here at Imaginon.
Well, Bessie Coleman has always been somebody that I admired. I grew up doing Black History Month programming. My mom was over children's church, and so I was definitely going to be in every production. So that's where acting was introduced to me. No choice whatsoever. And we always had a different person that we learned about, and she was in like the group of people that we learned about, and she's just kind of stuck with me. And as I've gotten older, I was like, there should really be a movie about Bessie Coleman or a play about Bessie Coleman. And then when I started writing, it was just in the back of my brain that one day I'm gonna write something about Bessie Coleman. And then Rashim Shabazz brought this to my attention that say, hey, they're looking for somebody to create a show. And it needs to be about yada, yada, yada. And I immediately thought, Bessie Coleman. It has to be about Bessie Coleman. And then I introduced her to some of the staff here that didn't know about her. I was like, she's spectacular. Just in her time period doing things that Black people or just people in general didn't necessarily do. But definitely being a Black woman in the segregated South, she really did the impossible.
So what about her stood out to you as a child? Like going back to when you first learned about her, what was it that made her magical?
She was doing something that somebody told her not to do.
Which was what?
Flying. Like, you cannot fly. You can't do this. And I think kids get told that they can't because they're small often. Like, get down, be careful, do this, do that. And Bessie was not being careful. And just the little bit that is known about her, my imagination just imagined this rambunctious little girl who was never in a skirt, who was supposed to be, but would rather had brothers and wanted to like be rough and tumbly with her brothers and just do things that was not meant for her to do. And, kids, I enjoy doing things that I'm not supposed to do. Like, I've gotten in trouble once or twice as a kid.
So it's like 2 things that come to mind when you say that. One is how every major movement really started with the youth. And yet we still have so many grown-ups that discount youth and try to box them in or tell them their voice doesn't matter.
Right.
So what did you see in Bessie Coleman that kind of had her say, I'm not listening to you. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. They just made her double down even more. And I'm sure just from being a person, there were moments where she was a bit discouraged, but just to be constantly saying no, she just possessed some level of tenacity to keep at it. And then being introduced to the Children's Theater when I was 15. A lot of people don't know I started here as a camper.
Oh, wow.
And this is where I really got bit by the acting bug.
Okay.
Like I was acting at church, but this was the first time I had a stage and there was a costume and I was like, oh man.
And it was more than just your mama saying, "Sang, baby."
No, it was there was an audience.
Yeah.
It was I'll do this forever. And as I continued to do it into my 20s, I think my mom got a little worried, like, oh, this is what you want to do for a living?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to make a living? There's just so many concerns when you don't do what is the norm and you work out. And when you color outside of the lines, really. And Bessie colored outside of the lines. And I think it was just in her to be that.
Yeah.
It was just in her to do it. Like she would have never been happy doing the thing that the world felt she was supposed to do. She would have been an unhappy human being. Same as me. I've tried to be in an office. I think working in an office is great if that is for you. But me, once I checked my email, I didn't know what else I was supposed to do in there. So I would come out and say, where are the kids? Like, what are they doing? I know that's not my job anymore, but I don't know what to do when I'm sitting in this space. So I've always needed to be able to be a creative because it's just in me to do it. And I think it's the same for Bessie. It was just in her to do it.
Well, I will say that this discussion that we're having, most of it in her lifespan occurred in the 1900s. So she was definitely
Back when Helen was born.
Was I born in the 1900s?
Well, you look great.
Thank you. Okay. She's just always got jokes. But whatever. So what I will say is she was breaking barriers. She was breaking down doors. She was not doing, as we talked already, the standard thing. So what is it that makes her so spectacular as a woman, but also as a Black woman, to do something that probably no one at that time was doing because, quote unquote, she is considered the first Black American and also Native American woman to fly. So what do you think, that means?
What comes to mind is my grandmother. My grandmother was a mother of 10 children, 8 girls and 2 boys. And I was just, what? And imagine having that many kids in the house, and how do you take care of that many children? How do you manage that many people? But she did it, every day. And she would say, sometimes I just don't know how I'm going to make it. But I always do. The good Lord is always there, always seeing after me. She would say different things like that. And just, my mom only had 2. And she was like, I couldn't imagine if y'all were times 6 or times 5 times, And then Bessie Coleman was one of 13 children. Wow. And just imagine that mom with that many kids. And how do you manage it? But she saw the ultimate manager every day, running that house, making sure that all those kids ate, all those kids were clothed, all those kids were loved at various points. She was doing that. They were sharecroppers, and she had to make sure that the older kids were out there in those fields so they could make whatever they were supposed to make by the end of the month so that they would have what they needed. So I think moms and dads who run households, whether it's 1 kid or 10 kids in the households, they are our first examples of what it is to manage yourself and then manage other people. And I think it's really spectacular to see how well that runs. One of my grandmother's friends was telling me a story of my grandmother in the backyard with all her daughters, all 8 girls. And she said they were lined up like an assembly line. And she was just combing heads, doing hair. And one would finish, she'd move that one, then she'd go to the next one. And when she'd finish, they'd all be bowed and pretty at the end of it. She had it down to a science.
Yep.
And I think some of that, seeing her mom move that way, gave her some of that strength and knowing who she was, because she would have to know who she was and how to move in the world she lived in. And I think she learned that from her mother.
I find that to be so interesting. I think about my grandmother who raised 4 boys, with no air condition, no shower, they shared a room, and, just the survival kind of, you just get through it. And that's what so many of us saw. But then I also feel like so many of us are products of that and are in therapy, as a result of that kind of push through, get through, you make a way out of no way. And now you see, moms today, I'm a millennial, but I'm an older millennial, more like, I can't do it all, And so it's kind of like this generational thing of like, okay, we've done this and we've made it through, but wow, when you think back and reflect on all the things that we carry with so little resources, so little support, and still also dealing with the society dynamics during those times too, it does take a mental and emotional kind of toll on you. I would be curious of, if you could be like predictive of what do you think, how Bessie Coleman might have been if she was mothered by a mother today. Do you think that there's something too, because that's my struggle with my own kids, with the privilege. I'm like, I don't know if you're going to have the work ethic. I don't know if you're going to have, how do you teach that without the trauma, which we don't think you have to have trauma to do it, but there's something to it.
It's tricky. It is a tricky thought. Like what you're saying, like I always know that I am more privileged than any woman who has come before me in my family line. Like I have the privilege to have a therapist who I absolutely adore, and I'm happy to go sit.
And the society acceptance that you can have Jesus and therapy.
Yes, it is okay to go sit on somebody's couch and just talk it out. And that no is a complete sentence, and I have the right to say no. I can be an entrepreneur, even though they were entrepreneurs, but it was not out of just because I want to. It was out of necessity that they became entrepreneurs and things like that. So it's tricky. And my mom was a single parent. And so I was little. I was a latchkey kid. I let myself in at the end of the day. I was the younger one, but I made like dinner sometimes for me and my brother. I cooked. I learned early. I knew how to do laundry. I knew how to do all these things. And now with my niece, she's so loved and so cared for. She's the only grandchild that we have to kind of make sure she knows how to be a person.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to know how to move through the world. And I was living in an apartment here, and she wanted a nothing bundt cake. I said, well, you can just walk up there and get it. She was like, walk there to get it? You won't take me? I said, it's literally a couple blocks, 3 blocks, and you'll be there. I promise you'll be there. And she was like, all right. She was so nervous about it. I was like, you don't even have to cross the street. And if you can't cross the street, we have not done our jobs.
Yeah.
You know, they just kind of, it's not that they have it easy, but they do have it a lot easier. And I think,
trust me, my 4-year-old is like, Mommy, help me take my shirt off. I'm like, you don't need me to help you take your shirt off. I do. I can't do it. So,
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, so it's just, it's a tricky thing, you know. I think some moms today are purposeful in making sure their kids, like you are, purposeful in making sure, like, you don't need me to do that. You can do it. And keeping themselves from helping when you might want to help so that they can learn to have those skills. And sometimes they do learn those skills. They just come a little bit later. I remember in college when a guy asked me to do his laundry, and I was like, oh, offended. But it was because he actually didn't know how to do it. I was like, oh, you don't know how to do it. I was like, well, you don't have to beat the clothes on a rock. The machine is literally going to do all the work. You just push buttons. And he never had to do it. He grew up in that kind of house where he just didn't have to do that sort of thing. So he knows how to do it now because he learned in college. I showed him how to do it. So some of us will get it earlier and some of us will get it later, you know, but I think they'll get it. I think they'll develop the work. I think they'll see they'll need it. And it'll come. And it comes in different forms. It depends on what they're doing. Because if it's tech, they are on it and know how to do it. Because I'm very analog in this digital world, but they know absolutely how to do it and can be very efficient and very quick to do things. So I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that without people like Bessie Coleman, we wouldn't have the freedom that
No,
we have
absolutely
right now.
not.
And I know that we're talking about, some of the hardships and trauma that they went through, but thank God for the ancestors and people like her, because now we do have a voice. We can have a made up mind to do certain things. But even as courageous as she was, she also had a made up mind to do certain things.
Absolutely.
Because she actually ended up just navigating this opportunity of being a pilot.
Absolutely.
Which in turn, like I mentioned earlier, she was the first, but didn't get the recognition.
No,
Like
which I'm so glad we're
Amelia
doing it now.
Earhart. Yeah,
exactly.
And so now she's getting the recognition, but I also feel like that's a theme and a topic that we need to talk about because, again, our ancestors, many have done the first in everything.
Yes, and
but
still
not
doing
always,
first.
and still doing first, and have not always received the recognition that they so well deserve. So I really wanted to hear your thoughts about that, based on just your research or based on what you know about her and the recognition of it.
Right, which it's a sad thing because she had such a long fight to get there, and then it lasted such a short amount of time. Like she was literally like just this blaze that came in and really went out, and I think that is part of it. And I also think because we talk about, we have Black History, we started with Black History Week, and then we have Black History Month, and it's such a separate thing that it doesn't always feel like it's American history, but it's American history. It is American, and I wish it was just ingrained in, it was all intertwined, and I wish it didn't have to be this like separate thing to acknowledge it. I understand why it is, because it wouldn't be acknowledged otherwise. But if it was just ingrained and intertwined, we would learn that we would be learning about Amelia and Bessie in tandem. We would know that if without Bessie, Amelia wouldn't be here. I imagine Amelia was inspired by Bessie as well, because they were alive at the same time.
They were.
And she had to be. Like, this, what is she doing? Like, I should be able to do that. And I think even if Amelia had been able, another one whose life was cut short, but if she had been able to live longer and really have a voice, maybe she would have spoken. Like, you do know, like, there was a lady that came before me.
Yeah.
Maybe she would have had the opportunity to do that. But that's something we won't ever know. But I think when we know better, we do better. And we know better now. And I am so glad to have a voice that I can be a voice for the voiceless, if you will. That I can introduce this group of children to Bessie Coleman, and maybe they'll be inspired to do a thing.
Absolutely. And hopefully they will be inspired to also, when it is Black History Month and you do have to do your character, because, we only pick MLK or we pick Rosa Parks.
Yes.
You don't really hear about Bessie Coleman in that lineup. So hopefully we see more
We'll
of
start
her.
seeing little pilots.
Yes.
Around. I
Yes.
would absolutely love that. And this year alone, there's been so many other Bessie things happening. I was like, oh, this must be the year of Bessie, because even for our workshop this summer, I was just in Walmart, just walking, and walked past the T-shirt that had Bessie Coleman on the front.
Oh, wow. Did you get it?
Bought 3, and the actors wore them for the workshop. I was like, that's a Bessie Coleman T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm hearing your ancestors. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen.
Yes.
And then at another film festival, there was a film about Bessie Coleman, and I think the actress, she played Hillary Banks on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Karen Parsons, I
Yes.
think that's her name. She has, I think she's a part of that film with Bessie Coleman.
Okay.
And then there's so many children's books that I wasn't aware of that have Bessie in them. So now I'm hoping that this momentum keeps going. And she keeps getting mentioned. I would have loved it if she'd showed up at Night at the Museum. Like,
Of
Bessie.
course. Yes.
Bessie's here, So now that we're doing it, hopefully it'll keep going.
So as a mom, thinking about, taking my child to see the play, what are some of the conversations that you think that parents can have with their kids before or after the play? And maybe some of it might be like I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, but then I know the play is kind of looked at for 9 and up. So maybe you could talk about the different lessons or talking
themes.
points that you saw.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially because it resonated so much with you as a child.
Right. Well, language, I would say, for one, because you'll hear words like colored and Negro and things. And I struggled with that in writing it. I didn't want to say colored. I didn't want to say Negro. I had like black here, this black person there. And then it was pointed out to me, like, would they have said that in what words would they have used? Like, is it present day or is it
They would have used 6, 7.
It was like, so I was like, oh, you're right. They wouldn't have said that. So I had to go change all of that to make it feel more authentic. And just for a black person to say I'm colored in that time did not feel like a slur. And I had to use it in their time period. So going over that language would make sense, and the difference between then and what we say today. Like sometimes what we said yesterday doesn't always work for today.
Let's pause on that, because I think there are so many parents that will probably listen to this and think, oh, my kid's too young to talk about those types of things. And I think what we know from research is that actually your kids are not too young to talk about it. And that between the ages of 5 to 7, you see racism pick up in language the most unless parents intentionally have a conversation. And so it is important to talk about like the history, what we do now, acceptance and all of those things. And this play is actually a great way to have that conversation.
Yes.
So it's not, heavy. It's not rooted in slavery.
No.
Right? It's rooted in an achievement story, but you're still able to have that conversation. So thank you for bringing that forward.
And I also
absolutely.
wanted to just, to double on what Charlotte said and it's also about how you prepare your children, because you can't be afraid to prepare them. And so when you're saying, oh, they're too young, or, oh, we don't want to talk about this, or we don't want to share or spread this message, how do you prepare them effectively so that they are equipped to hear some of this language, not just for this play, but in life as well?
Well, you can, there are lots of resources, especially if you come to Imagine-I or go to your local library. There are lots of resources, and you could read some books on Bessie Coleman first. And they have them from the youngest to like more advanced readers. There are books that will help parents, and they can use as a tool to support them in them helping their kids be okay with this time period. They can look at books that talk about segregation for kids that are written for children and what it was like living in a Jim Crow South. They can focus on those sorts of things, and they can also focus on what it was like for women. What was it like to be a girl in this time period? And that can help support them in this story. But even though it takes place what we think is a long time ago, it's actually not really that long ago. There are a lot of relevant themes with perseverance, because not everybody is privileged. We have to know that. Not everybody comes from a place where they have a parent that is taking care of them the way that we would want to be taken care of. And to know that you can do it. You can pull yourself out of your situation. Whatever, even if it looks impossible, it seems hard, but you can. There's a way for you to find help. You can have tenacity. You can be determined. And so for Bessie, she was absolutely determined, even after being hurt with her father leaving the family. And I had to imagine what that was like for her. And even though, because there's not a lot written other than he left. And we speculate where he went, but it doesn't say why, or did he stay gone? Did he ever come back? So none of that's there. So I had to kind of fill in those blanks. But I had to think of myself as being a young woman without her dad, and what that was like for me and how it changed me. So how did that change Bessie?
And I think having a conversation about race and language and the things that happen over time, but then also you're not going to always win. And you're going to have loss, you're going to have hurt, you're going to have struggles. Everybody's not going to get a trophy. I think that's also a great lesson to talk about and still see that with tenacity, you'll make it, even if you don't make it the first time. Because I do think, especially for kids today, because you don't want to hurt feelings, right? We're not really teaching our kids how to be resilient, how to lose, not be perfect, and all of those things. So I think that's also a great point that you've kind of called out. So that's the second one. Let's get one more thing you would think parents should talk to their kids about.
One, theater etiquette, number one. Especially if you got some kiddos who've never been to the space, we can hear you. We can see you and we can hear you.
So what are some theater etiquettes?
So for one thing, well, thankfully in the children's theater, often they do shows that include where the audience is included. It is okay to laugh, it's okay to clap, but then we stop so that we can hear the next thing. We try not to talk while the actors are talking so that people around you can hear what's happening, because you'll miss the next thing.
Should they kick the seat in front of them?
No, definitely not that. Do you just be kind to your neighbor in the front, your neighbor in the back, and your neighbor to the side. Let's be kind. Definitely how we behave in the theater. And what does that mean to be like, this is another form of art, this is another job, this is what these folks do for work. You can discuss that as well and what that would mean.
Oh, that's a great point around just different types of careers. And so maybe can we list out some of the ones that people might not think about? Because they might think about being the writer, they might think about being an actor, but what are some other careers?
Right. There are so many theater kids who are theater kids but not actor kids. They don't necessarily want to be on the stage, but they have a great talent. And some of them are scenic painters. They can paint, they can draw, they design the sets, they can build the sets. Then you have people who work what we call the front of house. That's your box office where you buy your tickets. Those folks, your ushers who are there. There's the back of the house, your stage manager. If you're good at telling people what to do, you might make a great stage manager.
That's for you, Amelia.
Yeah. You might make a great stage manager. One of my favorite stage managers here, Hazel, she said when she was a little kid, she loved freshly sharpened pencils. If she got a pack of freshly sharpened pencils, it was like Christmas. And that was a sign. And even now, all her pencils in her case are freshly sharpened. She loves taking out a new pencil. And so she can like mark up a script and things like that. She's an excellent stage manager. And then you have people who work in administration, people who do the fundraising, have to make the money, have to make the schedules, who do outreach, who do marketing, so people know that what we're doing is happening. So there's so many people involved in making this one play happen. Like, I'm so appreciative. We just got in the mail a postcard with Bessie Coleman on the front. My mom was so excited because myself, Rasheem, and Lydia, who's our other actress who plays Bessie, are on the back of it. And she's like, did you see this? Look at this. And so I thought about all the people who opened their mailbox and that was in there. I didn't do that. That was somebody else did that. And I'm so thankful for everybody so a lot of times they go unnamed, but that's not why they do it. They don't do it.
And it's the importance of collaboration.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's the other thing that we should teach kids, that you don't do this work by yourself.
Absolutely not.
And I'm always saying no man is an island. No woman is an island. Even when we talk about Bessie Coleman, she didn't do this by herself. She had to have training.
Absolutely.
She had to have teachers. She had to have pilot etiquette. She had to know about the skies and all of those things. So it's teamwork that makes this also so significant, that I think is a big lesson that we need to teach kids.
Absolutely. Teamwork does make the dream work. When Bessie was into her career, she had a co-pilot named William Wills. And he actually was with her in that plane crash that he also lost his life in that crash. But he was the one who flew point for Bessie while she searched for the best place to do her jumps, to parachute from, because she was a barnstormer, which meant she did sky acrobatics, if you will. There was a lot of like loop-de-loops and barrel rolls and different things like that. And people would sit in like a big old field and they'd watch the planes dip down and twirl. That's how she made money. And she wanted to start her own flight school, but she had William Wills with her, by her side, to the end, really. She had lots of people. She was working on the possibility of a film about her life and writing her own story down. And she had the newspaper editor, his name has left me, Robert S. Abbott. He was the editor-in-chief of the Chicago Defender. And he had to hear her story and be inspired enough to bankroll her trip to France. Somebody had to pay for it. She didn't have it. The Chicago Defender and Jesse Banga, he was a banker, did it for her. So she had them behind her as well.
Yeah. So even though you're out in the front, you always have to be appreciative of the team that you have surrounding you.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's so important.
It's never lost on me. And I have the support of my family and my friends who, I've written shows before and I didn't have all the support that comes along with doing a show with the Children's Theater. I was literally a one-man band and I needed to buy wood. And I was like, how do I buy wood? Can you show me at Lowe's? What size is this? How do I?
So that's like the guy who needed you to wash his clothes.
That part. I was that person. And I had to have people tell me. I had to lean on the older gentleman at Lowe's who was like, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
That sort of
So
thing.
I have one more question. Okay.
Yes.
So can you tell us a secret that is going to be in the play that either only someone who's like really paying attention will see, or like a surprise that you're like, I hope everybody catches this? Because you know how it's always like an art to, like, you're telling the story, you're orating, you're narrating it, and then there's also just like the set, the illustrations, the costumes, they tell a story too. And so you have to really, sometimes I feel like you have to watch stuff twice, or at least that's how I feel about the Beyonce concert.
Yes.
So I didn't know if there was anything like that that you would, want people to maybe see, like only if they knew from the playwright, that's how they would catch it.
I don't know. The thing that's coming, I'm so caught off by that one. That was not in my list of
We
questions.
want
No,
we want the
wasn't.
tea.
But she wants something juicy.
Oh, juicy.
Clickbait.
What I hope I've done well enough is I've written clearly enough, because Rasheem Shabazz plays everybody else. You have Lydia Williams, who plays Bessie, and then Sheen plays everybody else. And he's had to work really hard to make sure that each individual character is its own distinct person.
Wow.
So that the audience isn't confused.
How many characters?
Oh, he plays, his main character is John Nihilus, her brother, which is a combination of two of her brother's names. So there's John Nihilus, there's Georgie, there's the teacher, there's the pilot instructor, there's Dad, there is Robert S. Abbott. I'm going to say 8. He's
Okay,
plays
so
at least
families.
8
So
characters.
the game you're going to play with your kids is to see if they can name all 8 characters by the end of the show. And if there are more characters, then y'all have to comment below.
There's more than 8.
So that we can let Keetha know.
Yes.
Yes.
And you'll see him change and become those people in front of everybody. So I initially struggled because I had him exiting a lot so he could, become the next person, but it made it very episodic, and I didn't like that. And so in our feedback sessions, which were tough, but they were great, it made me a better writer. They were like, why don't he just let him become them in front of us? So it's just a costume piece, this hat for this character, maybe this hat, maybe this jacket, and it's all gonna be right there, and you'll see it happen right in front of you. And we can see how well he does and adjust. And even for Bessie, for that actor, she has to grow from 11 years old to in her 20s, in her mid to late 20s. So we need to see her go from a little kid to being an adult right before our eyes. And they don't really leave the stage. If they do, it's for a very, very long enough to like maybe get a sip of water, and they come right back out. So it kind of keeps moving. So you can kind of guess and see how well they did.
I actually think that's going to be fun.
That is.
That'll be a fun game for them to actually like experience in the game. Like, oh my God, like how many characters was he?
Right, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge for him, and changing his voice and what everybody sounds like. And then, do I like it? Like, do I like the voice you're using for that character?
Yeah.
And if not, because I'm also directing it, so I get to say like, maybe let's make the adjustment here or there. But they've been great.
Yeah,
They really have.
And even for Lydia, just to see her grow, like from a young girl into a young woman, I think is also going to be something eye-catching to the children as well.
And I can tell you, they have wonderful knees. They are jumping off of things a lot. And I did not direct them to do that. They just did it.
Okay.
And I said, I put that block there so you could like step your way down. She was like, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
She just rather jump off
And
of
we
it.
keep talking about this for the kids, but I think for the adults too now. Come on, like we're kids at heart.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing this like live. And I want to also calculate just to see how many characters that I recognize also, without you even telling me.
Oh, absolutely. We were looking for that Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary is that multi-generational show where everybody can sit down and watch it and enjoy it. So that's what we're looking for. We talked about that today. I said, I want, if the room was just adults, that they would have a good time watching the show.
Yes.
If the room is just kids, they're having a great time.
Yes.
And if everybody, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, baby brother, big brother, little sister, big sister, are all there, they're going to have a good time watching the show. So that is what we're going for. That is our goal.
Good. Well, I have one final question that I wanted to ask, and it's about Bessie being brave. I think that was her nickname. And so I think that's also a conversation piece where we can talk to not just our children, but to ourselves. Because sometimes, adults today can just be so fearful of so many different things. So what lessons can we learn about brave Bessie?
Oh, man. What I think is that sometimes when we think of people being brave, we think of them being fearless, but they're not. We do it anyway. And it's all right to be scared. Just do it anyway. Just go for it anyway.
Do it scared.
And I know that there were times Bessie was scared. There had to be. She just had to be. But she did it anyway. One of the lines in the show, Bessie says, they go to a place and John Niles points out that they should not be there. And he points out the whites only sign. And Bessie says, I know, I see it, I can read, but sometimes rules are wrong. And she knew that there was something for her to see. And she could get in trouble, but I need to see that there is something for me. And that's when she catches her first glimpse of an airplane. And that's what sets it all off from there, So I'm a little scared, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
She had to be frightened her first time in a plane. Had to be a little excited, scared, little nervous. And then even in school, she crashed. That had to scare her. And it scared the people around her. They said, just don't do it anymore. You've proven everything you needed to prove. Just stop. She's like, I can't. I've come too far. I can't. And she had to know, and she know I'm scared to go, so I have to do it. So I'm not always scared. So even now in my life, I am 45, almost 46. And I'm doing it scared. I'm finally living my dream of moving to New York. I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it scared.
You got it, girl. You
'cause
got it.
I definitely won't make it if I don't go.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a funny thing. I mentioned I had taken my mom to Epic Universe, and there was a roller coaster. And my brother was like, you have to ride it. It is so much fun. It races the other one. It's this, it's that. I have never been on something that went that fast before in my life. It started fast and got faster. It commenced to being like
I
the
feel like
worst.
it's aged a little bit too, because I used to like roller coasters, and now I feel like my equilibrium get off.
No, my mother, who is 67, let me tell you, I have on my little Apple Watch, and my heart rate said 140, and that was before the ride started. I wasn't even in the seat. My heart was just racing. I was already scared.
Yeah.
But I had to get on with my mom. I am terrified. I'm praying. I'm just like, God, if you just get me through this, I'll never do it again. I'm holding on for dear life. And I can hear my mom next to me going, woohoo! having an absolute blast. You know, I was like, I've done it. I was scared to do it. I did it. Probably not going to do it again.
Check that box.
Yeah.
But my mom had an awesome time. She was just a little nervous about like, I don't know, what are these seats like? What is this? What is that? Had a blast. And the tiniest kid was in front of my mom, concerned about this kid being able to stay in the seat.
Yep.
Both of them came off like, we're going to go again. I say, if the two of you would like to go together, I will hold your bags.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes.
yeah, so it's just do it scared. Like that's what I'm in that era of doing it scared. And so you might find like, oh, I don't really enjoy that, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
It's okay to get scared. Just do it scared.
I love that lesson.
Yes.
And I think we can end like, you know, our discussion
Yes.
like on that question about, you know, what does it mean to be brave? You know, how do you overcome fear? And just the importance of doing it scared. So, yes.
So thank you so much for this conversation.
thank you.
We send so much thanks to the Children's Theater of Charlotte for gifting us with you, and also the Library Foundation. We really hope you all come and check out this play, have this conversation. A multi-generational conversation is right in the heart of giving thanks. Can you give us the dates?
It opens November 15th. For the public, we'll have 2 shows on the 15th and 2 shows on the 16th. Tickets are on sale now, so go visit ctcharlotte.org and get your tickets today.
Get them today, because you know it's going to sell out, because we need to be brave, and we've got some critical conversations that we need to have and some characters that we need to spot out. So be sure to like, comment, or subscribe to Behind the Throne wherever you listen, and we cannot wait to see you at the play. Bye, y'all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Behind the Throne podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and comment below with your feedback. Check out future episodes from us as we discuss motherhood from babies to adults.